Dear all, today I have the great pleasure of hosting a very important professor here at International Balkan University and also being part of a very meaningful conversation about a deep topic. That's the modern scholarship. Who is the modern scholar and what is a modern scholar? Today, in the name of International Balkan University, I'm hosting a highly important academician and modern scholar, Professor Dr. Mesut Idriz. Um, Professor Dr. Mesut Idriz is highly respected historian in Islamic history, Ottoman and Balkan studies, and also comparative history of civilizations. He serves as professor and director of the Sharjah International Foundation for the History of Arab and Muslim Sciences at University of Sharjah. Originally, he is from Skopje, earned his master's degree and PhD from the International Islamic University in Malaysia. He holds academic positions across several international institutions and most importantly founded the Center of Intercultural Dialogue and Education in Turkey. He talks widely in Southeast Europe, focuses on Islamic historiography, traditional Islamic education, and intellectual connections between Arab world and the Balkans. He has a lot of publications in multiple languages and actively contributes to international academic forums. If I would read his biography in details, it will last for days, but shortly in these topics, I have the privilege to welcome a true scholar, a professor of Islamic civilizations, Professor Dr. Mesut Idriz.
Sumea, thank you very much for this invitation. Normally, I don't respond to any kind of invitation other than educational institutions or learning centers. If it is some kind of politically motivated or politically related institutions, I don't respond to any kind of invitations. But being in the International Balkan University, first of all, as a Balkan itself, the term and the university being combined and added that internationalization to it to become IBU, that makes a lot of meaning to me. And I thank Professor Lutfi, the rector of the university, who is my longtime friend and who instructed your kind self, recently to appear in this podcast. And I will try my best. I am not scholar, I am student, although the topic is a bit on scholarship. And I thank you for sending the topic and its details, the content of the topic. Honestly, it was challenging. I had to sit down and work on it, although the ideas were flowing on my mind. But to put the ideas into a podcast system, kind of recording thing, and Q&A version and commentaries, it required for me to sit down and put into an orderly manner my answers. So thank you very much.
The pleasure is ours. If I remember rightly, please correct me, when the people in ancient Greek, they said that Socrates is very important person in knowledge and he has a lot of knowledge. He said that I don't have a lot of knowledge. I only love knowledge. That's why it's philosophia. So you remind me of that history. And thank you once again for coming here. Dear Professor Idris, in the initiative of Rector Professor Dr. Lutfi Sunar, International Balkan University, it's not only a place where lectures or information are delivered, but also a place of culturalization. So we try to make a huge impact in the life of the students, but also in the community. That's why I am re-mentioning it's a great pleasure to host you here as a student from Skopje that is touching very important institutions in the whole world. So let us begin with our conversation. I wanted to start this conversation with we often equate the scholars with publication and with degrees. But in a world that is shaped by digital dialogue, social crisis, interdisciplinary topics, what defines a modern scholar? Today, here and now, beyond academic credentials, who is a scholar?
This is very tricky. This is very tricky, honestly speaking. But very serious. Honestly, when I say serious, I mean it with a complete sense of the seriosity. How we are confused in terms of the look. Terminologies are a reflection of our minds. When we create or develop a terminology, and then we conceptualize that terminology, is a sort of a reflection of our minds. And if we do not have proper reflection of our minds, we will have definitely confusions. The results will be not 224, it will be 226 or 3.5 or something like that. So rightly you mentioned about scholars and academics. I've been for many years emphasizing on this. Let's say, when you say scholar, what does it constitute? And when you say academic, what does it constitute?
Is it the same or different, Tomshin?
In my understanding, is completely different. And I will try to give some highlights on it. Perhaps the audience later on, they can benefit from it. I prepared, in fact, a text based on your possible highlights in your that you sent to me earlier. I thank you for that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to focus myself. To elaborate on these issues. Scholar, the term scholar is a wide matter. If we compare with the Islamic literature or Islamic history, the term that corresponds to scholar is alim, or who is beyond that alimhood is allama, we call him. It's higher thing, isn't it? But recently they realized that, alim corresponds to this alim. Alim is a globe, and you derive things from the alim. And this alim is not only world, is the universe. And you continuously struggle to derive something from it. That's why they call it university, comes from universal elements. It's not particular. Unfortunately, today, most of our institutions, they have reduced the meaning of to one small department. So that universal element has been somehow lost. So student comes to university and studies particular subject and graduates and does not have that. It's not really, they call it university compulsory or elective courses, but it is not sufficient. Probably that one should be on the 4th year in the university. I'm just assuming it could be 6th year perhaps, or could be 2nd year, if depending of how you have, what kind of system you have. So to reduce the knowledge to that particular department, you are avoiding yourself from that universal element. So universalism is no longer there. So if we may call it, perhaps we may call it as a particularism or particularity. So if you say I am graduated from this department, I have graduated from the department of particular science. So it's not a general science. Secondly, they took a term that is an old Greek terminology, that is academe. They corrupted the term of academe, and they integrated the term academy into the these circles, learning circles. And in fact, the term academy entered to some languages, like in Arabic, for instance, we call it academy. And I asked them, what is the difference between ilm and academia? Most of the time, they don't have the answer, you know. So academy is something particular science where you go and you become a technician, like our friends that are working in the background of this. They are practitioners. They are doing some particular job. So that is the issue. Kind of like they have taken from the history, they have plugged into our system last 20th century, particularly last 50 years, and they have confused us, you know. And when we speak about Greek term of academy, we have lost the meaning, that original meaning of the academy of the past. So scholar and academy, here are the clashes, because you reduced the meaning into a particularity. And a person who deals with a particular element, he's not a scholar. Let's put it like that in a nutshell.
So
It's
the
not a
scholar is someone that has a holistic approach in studying the world.
I have put together some 6 points. I will just quickly mention 6 of them. What are the constituent element of scholarship elements? And then if you are interested, we can go to the deep explanation of something. For instance, you have number 1 is true knowledge as the foundation. This is a serious matter. True knowledge as the foundation of scholarship. Secondly, we use in our Islamic civilization or classical terminology, we call it adab. But adab is not in the sense that we are using in our streets. Even that one we have sucked in the term to the lower meaning. You know, when we say adab, you know, we have reduced the meaning into street language. You know, adab here is the highest level of scholarship. So the number 2 element in scholarship, in true scholar, is adab as a mark of scholarship. A while ago, you know, before we started, I said that, you know, there are some 3 stages of education: is terbiya, ta'lim, and ta'dib. Ta'dib is the highest. Ta'dib and adab come from the same root. So adab is highest level of knowledge, and it's not given to everyone. It requires, the background of adab is wisdom, hikmah. In our terminologies, let us put like that. And hikmah is not easy to reach to that hikmah. Requires you to have a proper system, definitions, and you have to develop the definition according to the needs, universal needs, not particular needs. So, number 2. Number 3, I will quickly go, specialization within a large vision. The one that I just mentioned about you come and you specialize in something, but don't forget, in order for you to specialize something, you have to pass from general, large vision. So large vision is you have to acquire the universal knowledge on, let's say, on meaning of justice, meaning of truth. How do you arrive to the truth? You know, this. The 4th in a row is spiritual and intellectual maturity. We can go to the deep of this if you are interested later on.
So it's not only the professional development, but also the personal development.
Exactly.
Working on yourself.
Exactly. And the 5th element, these are just quickly that I have put together. The 5th one is commitment to truth, not to ideology. Okay? Because we are mixing ideology with so commitment to truth and not to the ideology. And the 6th a point that I have put together for many years that describes true scholar is preserving the intellectual and spiritual tradition. So when you combine all these 6 elements, if you want, it's like a guide manual, and you are looking for something, like you bought a new fridge, you have this manual, so this is recipe. So these are the 6 elements, in my opinion, that constitutes a true scholar. Once we work on it, it will have proposed. I can give a lot of examples, but
no, it's very excellently summarized in 6 points, and the holistic approach, the personal and professional development. In my opinion, I'm very amazed how you divided the term academician and alim. Alim is someone who is in every area developed and in every area willing to work on himself, on herself. And academician, we use it only in academic settings, only in one research institute or university, and they are very willing to explain one topic, one field, but not also comes in the meaning to be personally good or personally high. So especially this one and the holistic approach, because in the past science was only one, and then as time passed, we are seeing the science divided in many pieces. So it's very important that we bring this topic on the table, first of all, to make the difference and to open the gate of who is the alim. Now we started to draw the portrait of alim, and it's very hard drawing, hard processed. So the next question I would want to ask is, what?
if I may just add here, there is something in this token, Let's say when you ask a person, what does it mean, haq? I mean, it is Arabic thing. At least this is a concept that is used from Philippines all the way to Morocco, from Kazan all the way to Cape Town, that geography, Although not all of them are Arabic. I mean, their spoken language is not Arabic, but the concepts are intact in Arabic, derived from the Quran. The term haq, for instance, how do you put in other contexts? And here, let's say, Quran is Quran knowledge or haq. And what is haq then? Haq is truth and reality at the same time. It's not only truth. It's not reality. It's combination of truth and reality at the same time. So when any researcher, when they try to derive some kind of knowledge from haq, from truth and reality, that process is considered a scholarly activity. Okay. So this is just.
So what are the challenges of this scholar activity? Or were the challenges of the scholars in the past and the challenges of the modern scholar, of a scholar today, the same? How they differ? So what are the challenges of a scholar?
To my understanding, the modern scholar faces a set of unique and unprecedented challenges that previous generations did not encounter, perhaps. These challenges are rooted in a deep epistemological crisis brought about by the forces of modernity, forces of secularization. Here we have to put inverted comma. What do we mean by secularization? We can and the westernization. Here, westernization is capital W here. Kind of like they produce, we consume. That is meant by.
They invented actually a whole science, anthropology, orientalistics, only.
Unfortunately, or even the scholarly researchers when we are doing, we are always quoting, citing them.
Yes.
Where are we? Why they are not citing us? Like there is a kind of monopoly in that sense, I said Westernization. I don't mean the way how some people are, using it in a lackadaisic matter way. This, which have fundamentally altered the understanding of knowledge and the role of the scholar. I have a couple of points here. I will go one by one, but quickly. And anyone is interested, I can elaborate further later on, but not in this program. I will just, number one is loss of the meaning and the purpose of knowledge. Here we have a huge problem. Loss of the meaning, like the one we mentioned just a while ago about the term of academia, how they took it from the history, plugged it into 20th century, late 20th century educational institutions, and they are using it in that sense. So here you are losing the meaning and the purpose of knowledge. Secondly, is also another important point: separation of ethics from knowledge. You see, you have a lot of bulk of knowledge in front of you, but are this knowledge that you are possessing or putting forward ethical? So they try to separate it. The separation of ethics from knowledge is a huge issue that we face in our days. And then you have number
Professor, can you give a short example about this
about the,
separation of ethics and knowledge?
if I may give example, let's say you take a decision because of certain trainings or certain you go and trash the forest. This is simply as one. I'm not going to a higher version of it, but simply as one. Trash the forest. Why? Because you want to have some kind of, you want to establish some highway, some residential area or something. Do you apply ethics to that kind of study? Whether you are destroying some nature, destroying the climate, and destroying the
world,
environment, destroying the human life, So this is an example here, if I. And the third point here, dominance of an external worldview. You just mentioned it. A lot of things we do, there is a kind of dominance from outside into our research, our practice and activities, There's a huge dominance, We have to balance that dominance, These are the challenges that we are facing. The number 4 is crisis of language and definitions. Unfortunately, we do face this a lot, not only in our Balkans or Macedonia or wherever, the whole world, not only Muslims. The whole world is facing the problem. Crisis of language and definitions. And when you try to communicate, although we are from the same area, academically, institutionally, culturally, religiously, we cannot understand each other. So this has created a lot of challenge, because something that I use, you understand it differently. But in the past, it was always, not only in the past about Islamic civilization, I'm talking about any civilization, it had a long-term meaning, did not change. There is no confusion. There is no crisis in the language and definitions, Number 4, this. And number, I will go quickly, rise of scholarship. We have a lot of pseudo scholarship around. So this is a huge challenge for us, in for true scholarship, And then the number 6 is identity crisis among scholars. For each I can go, but I don't want. I want to go rush a little bit. And pressures of globalization. This number 7, and number 8 here, and this is the general highlights: institutional and structural constraints. we are facing these institutional structural constraints which should be taken care of well, So I try to highlight the major elements in front of us.
As you mentioned, every point of all of the summarize is willing to be open and to dive deep. But I hope that we will have some other opportunities to have each one of them as a separate topic for long conversation. So from here, I want to connect from the challenges to the responsibilities. In a polarized world where the scholars forced somehow to choose between silence and engagement, between theory and action, do scholars still have the luxury of staying neuter? And what responsibilities does the modern scholar carry toward the society? Is being neuter still possible or even ethical? The responsibilities of a modern scholar toward the society.
As I mentioned it at the beginning, I said this subject is really crucial, and a lot of people avoid from discussing it, but we will try to highlight. In my understanding, the modern scholar carries a profound moral and intellectual responsibility towards society, particularly in an age where knowledge is often fragmented, secularized, and stripped of its ethical foundations. So I guess in this sense, the responsibilities of the modern scholar towards society is, I like to go with points, to become custodian of true knowledge. Custodian of true knowledge. A scholar is not merely a transmitter of information, but a trustee of wisdom. So this element should be really distinguished, it should be put forward. So custodian of true knowledge. And the second one, which perhaps it is a kind of repetition in its own nature, moral and spiritual guide. Number two. Number three is reclaiming and integrating knowledge. What do we mean by this? Scholars must engage critically with dominant paradigms and work to reintegrate reason, revelation, and tradition. Number four, in this sense, is preserver of values and worldview. Preservers of value and worldview. Now, worldview is a long subject, but I will just pass it quickly. But preservers of values, because values are related directly with the worldview. And the fifth one is public engagement and reform. Here, we don't mean reform in the sense that, politicians they use or political parties, they use. No, we are talking about real knowledge-based public engagement and reform in that sense, in the scholarly sense. The scholar cannot remain isolated within academic circles. There is a pressing need to engage with public, contribute to meaningful discourse, and speak out against injustice and intellectual dishonesty. These are the responsibilities, in my opinion.
So a true scholar should have some responsibility to give back to the society and to educate a new generation and the society in general, to contribute for that lifelong learning that we say to the other people.
And in addition, neutrality, in my view, is neither fully possible nor ethically desirable. So every scholar operates from within a particular worldview or framework of values. So to claim that neutrality is often to mask one's own position rather than to transcend it. So it is an issue, which should be, it cannot. that neutrality should not be there enough.
So the scholar should stand for what they believe and to promote patience, consistency, and
Yes, because remaining neutral, especially when knowledge is misused and or manipulated, becomes a form of complicity. So
for
this is an important thing, Yes.
for sure. So to be connected with this one, with the responsibilities, is the scholar still seen as a public figure? So has the society stopped listening to what the thinkers say, what the scholar says?
In my view, the scholar has increasingly lost their central place as a public figure in modern society. I'm talking about. While in the past, scholars were often uh, revered as a moral and intellectual authorities. Now here, authority we are using. If I may just open a bracket, Quranic expressions when it says فَلْيُؤَدُّوا أَمَانَاتِ إِلَى أَهْلِهَا. أَمَانَاتِ إِلَى أَهْلِهَا. أهلية authorities.
To give the
Yes. فإذا
responsibility.
حكمتم بين الناس أن تحكموا بالعدل. If you are going to deal, not judge, deal with a situation, you should have a proper wisdom. So the wisdom is somehow, anyway, intellectual authorities whose voices shaped public discourse. Today, they are often sidelined in favor of entertainers, influencers, and politicians. The public appetite for deep and reflective thought has diminished in an age of immediacy and sensationalism. As a result, many genuine thinkers struggle to find a platform where their ideas are heard, let alone valued. Society's decline in engagement with authentic scholarship poses a serious challenge not only to knowledge itself, but also to the ethical and intellectual foundations of our communities. So these are an overall view. But of course, are there any possible solutions? Yeah, there are a number of. I have given some points where could be we can find solutions to this, But I suffice with this,
The balance between being a real scholar and maintaining a public figure so you can contribute to the society and give to the society. So from here we maybe can connect how the media promotes real scholar and what kind of scholars and what kind of academicians or public figures media chooses to promote and to give space and voice. So it's really a long question, and we can touch different topics. But from here, not to stay a lot here, I want to end with a question to meet this topic with your speciality and your field. So civilizations, cities, how does cities shape scholars? Can every city produce scholars? Or certain cities naturally more fertile to produce intellectual development, and why?
this is interesting. The cities has played a great role in especially those cities that are rooted in the values of civilizations. Particularly, we are talking about our own case, Islamic civilization, played a crucial role in shaping scholars. So they do not merely by offering physical infrastructure, but by embodying a worldview that nurtures intellectuals spirituals, and moral development. So, in this is a general statement. So you have, I may refer, let's say, cities as manifestations of worldview. This is lacking, unfortunately, in current age. Cities does not manifest any kind of worldview, and this has started, I guess, since 1950s. After Second World War. And you find something is missing in that in as a manifestation of worldview. They manifest politics, they manifest ideologies, but they do not manifest the worldview of values. Secondly, the ethos, the ethos of the city shapes the ethos of the scholar. This issue is very crucial. And number three, perhaps urban civilization, imara, what they call it, urban civilization, and the culture of knowledge. What do we mean by culture of knowledge? When you compare, for instance, Baghdad, Cordoba, Fez, Isfahan, and later on Constantinople, Istanbul, because later on it was changed. Always was surrounded with, let's say, you have a center as a. Sometimes mosque was playing the role, but not in the sense of mosque, in the sense of masjid, in the sense of jamia. Jamia that brings scholars together. Masjid could be everywhere, but the jamia that brings scholars together, and then you have that circle around around the city center. We have very clearly in the Balkans this. We used to have in Skopje, although now the identity of the city has lost somehow because they plugged in so many things. But in the past, it was like that, or some in the Balkan countries, they are preserving this culture. You have in Sarajevo, for instance, everything is in the city center. The
Central.
safe, yes, well organized. So urban civilization and culture of knowledge should be put together. And then you have urban decline and scholarly decline. When you have this kind of, it reflects automatically. This is a very important point to be highlighted and discussed and put forward. And the last but not least is the balance between tradition and cosmopolitanism. So you want to establish a cosmopolitan, but you are avoiding from the tradition. It is possible. You are spitting to your own self, by refusing that thing. So these are the general points that I could highlight from my own experience, and I am still student. I'm still searching, and I will be searching of. I'm thirsty, by the way, not thirsty of this glass of water. We have it. I thank our friends here, but thirsty of that hikmah that Prophet says, is a lost property of a believer. Look, did not say Muslim, of a believer, moment. So wherever you go, you take it. And when you take it, you don't take it blindly, You filterize it, you understand it, and try to consume. And that is the way how it was knowledge in the past. And in this talking, and I would like to highlight something that some time ago, it was in Singapore where we had a nice discussion. I proposed to have, we have this trade road called Silk Road, isn't it? Everyone knows about, and everyone focuses on the trade. And my issue, my point is not about trade as much as it's movement of ideas, movement of scholarship through Silk Road, and how it was moving from one place and today, unfortunately, let's say Afghanistan. Sometimes jokingly, I say to my wife, what do you think about Afghanistan? And they look I said, look, Afghanistan was center of knowledge in the past. Don't look what is going on now.
Mm.
Today you have the famous, since it is your field, psychology. Today, Americans, American institutions I'm talking about, they are talking about cognitive psychology, isn't it? And it is taking its roots last 40 years, 30 years to discover that in Islamic civilization in Afghanistan, the city of Balkh, the area, Al-Balkhi wrote very nice treatise on cognitive psychology. It's called علم النفس علم البدن علم الدين والأبدان.
Which in translation means.
The knowledge of religion and body.
Uh-huh.
And now American institutions, they discover that Al-Balkhi has written something, has answered our question enough. You don't need to go to kind of like labs and yes, you can develop, but you cannot reject. It is there enough. Al-Muhasibi, for instance, in psychology or something. So, but when you travel, you are always thirsty of gaining something, learning something, either taking or giving. So this umbrella, personally here, I am focusing, perhaps you have seen in my CV, I'm focusing on the tradition of ijaza, which today everyone is coming to institution to get degree, and no one is asking, what is the history of degrees that you are getting? Who started first? It did not exist in the Greeks, did not exist in late periods of early European, did not exist in Rome, did not exist in Chinese civilization, neither Indian. Who invented? How it started? It started with Islamic civilization, thanks to the hadith collection. So they were searching for the right, true thing. And then 100 years later, you have this shifted to other sciences. Today, since 9th century, Gregorian calendar year, 3rd century Hijri, it became a kind of like well practiced. The authority was there, Authority was a scholar who is training. Now you have something, authority, authorized, I am student, and authorization. That is the meaning of ijazah.
Yeah, the content.
That's the meaning of ijazah. So once you remove the authority, how that authority should not be always, you should think that, he was one of the guys, one of the persons who transmitted, passed with some additional knowledge to it. But there is a thirst. There is a thirst in the world, that when they remove the authority, and authority became walls, structure, infrastructure. So you are graduate from where? I am graduated from this place, but who was teaching there is somehow neglected. So bring back authority to the institutions. So I am a collector of ijazas, and hopefully before I pass my responsibility in this world that I have, before I go, I would love to leave as a legacy, as a reference. I should not say legacy, but legacy in the sense of mine, but as a reference for the future researchers to study how this tradition of ijaza was functioning in the Islamic history of Islamic civilization in the Muslim geography, starting from Morocco all the way to Philippines, from Cape Town all the way to in the north in Kazan, Tataristan, that area. So I am collector of ijazas, and I am comparing, how they were giving the ijazas, in which areas. And ijazas were given in all areas, not only in religious studies. In psychology, perhaps, there was no knowledge, discipline under the name of psychology, because it was
It's very new.
under the hikmah. They used under the hikmah, wisdom. So you have number of other, like handasa engineering. You have so many branches under it. Then they used in طب, in medicine. They use ijaza, So the ijaza, I'm a student of ijaza. I'm collecting ijazas. So far, I have reached to 1,600 original unpublished ijazas. So hopefully one day I put forward, if health gives me opportunity, I will do that. Yes.
So, is there a short message that you would want to forward to the new generation that maybe has a dream of becoming a scholar? To keep it more specific to the young people of Skopje.
Okay, I will answer with an example here. It's let's say each student is an artist in my understanding. If this artist has in his mind or her mind something to draw, let's say Sumea is going to draw the face of human being. Okay. Now, face of human being, automatically you have to, Sumaya is going to find what are the common elements in that, what they call faceness. The common elements is nose, lips, eye, If Sumaya focuses on a simple pimple in the face or mole in the face and highlights the mole while painting, then you have to change the subject matter. You are not drawing faceness. You are drawing moleness. Change the subject. So you have to have clear vision from the beginning. So don't focus. You will get lost. You will get confused if you're stuck in one thing. You have to have a clear idea from the beginning what you are doing. If you are doing this, let's focus on its major elements. But if you focus on simple thing, you get astray, away from your idea that you have in your mind. So my advice, friendly advice, they are able to get in touch with me. I'm all over, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, as long as they don't waste my time too much, but I am ready to assist anyone because I consider them, they are thirsty and I am thirsty. So we share the thirstiness, both sides, students and I am student too. So when we collaborate, I enjoy that collaboration. Sometimes, most of the time, I don't know them. 90% I don't know them. I haven't even seen them.
But we
I'm
have
talking about.
something very important in common.
So I feel it. I feel that this person needs some help, and I will be leaving. I will focus myself. So I will ask students to define what, like an artist, to define what are they doing and where are they going to go. Let's say you are going from here to Ohrid, and there are on the road signs written Ohrid 189 kilometers, isn't it? And these signs are for you just to show the way how you go to Ohrid. But if you stop in the sign and if you put to the sign some kind of ornamentation to the sign and thing, and you distract people from Ohrid, the guy was going to Ohrid, and the guy stops in the sign and checks, what is this?
Yeah, and in the dynamic world as we are living in, there are a lot of distractions. So the message is taken to stay focused on our aim and to what we want. Dear Professor Idris, it was a very great honor of me being part of this muhabbat. As we know, muhabbat comes from the hub, that means love, and sometimes spreading knowledge is actually the highest form of spreading love. So I felt very honored today that I had this privilege of co-making this co-doing this conversation to you. I hope that the message is taken from all our listeners to the students of International Balkan University and more. I hope that we will have the opportunity to continue this conversation to some other settings. Once again, thank you for being here at our university.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. Have a nice day.